Scott Martin is with us. Come back in, please. Market Watcher here. You were mentioning Netflix earlier. We knew it was going to open sharply higher. We asked you if you would buy it at $142 per share. For the benefit of viewers just joining us, tell us, would you buy it at $142 a share?
I'm going to wait for it to come back to me a little bit, Stuart, because last quarter Netflix did the same thing. They blew away earnings estimates, and it rallied really hard, as it did, say, this morning. But it came back to you as an investor a couple weeks later. So that's what I think the moral of the story here is. I love Netflix going forward. I think you will have a chance to get it cheaper.
Now, Scott, whilst we've got you here, it looks like that the Trump rally has stalled. Went gangbusters right after the November 8th election, stalled just before Christmas, right below the 20,000 level. Where to from here? After the inauguration, what do we get? A sell-off or another leg up for the rally? What's your opinion?
I believe the market's going to base out here, Stuart. Let's call it about Dow 19,700, 19,500, because I think your point with Mr. Norquist was very astute. The worry in the markets and the worry on the street is with regards to tax policy. It feels like Trump is softening maybe exactly what his tough talk was on tax reform. So therefore, if there's any doubt that something doesn't get through or there's this tax reform in two pieces, which has been talked about, Steve Moore talked about that yesterday on Cavuto, which I hate to mention other shows on your perfect show. But I'll tell you what's funny is the market is reacting to what the tax policy could be if it's softer than it was what Trump promised after he was president-elect.
I think you got it right there, Scott. Brian Bremberg.
Yeah, the policy uncertainty here is what's driving the market sideways. And I think you're going to continue to see that as policies get passed, as you see some forward movement there, I think you'll see the market respond. But it's going to be much slower than it was right after the election.
Yeah, we were all hoping that the first thing Mr. Trump would do would be cut taxes. Just do that. That's what Ronald Reagan did back in 1981, as I recall. But he didn't do that. He's gone for reforming and repealing Obamacare first. He's going to have to spend some time doing that. That's got some investors a little worried. You come back in again, please, Rich, about what Grover Norquist was saying. Maybe July we'll get the tax cut bill signed. What say you?
I think July is optimistic. If they can do it by July, I think that's a big victory. It's just such a complex beast, and you have so many special interests and business groups that care about this or that provision. If they can do it by July, that's a pretty good schedule.
Yes, it's more like a bit later, isn't it? That's what you
probably.
That's what I can read between the lines.
That's what always happens is you set the deadline on Capitol Hill and you miss it. But if you get close to it, that's good.
What our viewers are looking at now is the podium, which Sean Spicer will approach momentarily. He is the new press secretary for President-elect Trump. He will be making his first comments as press secretary moments from now at that podium. I'm not sure he will move the market. What he could do is tell us which executive orders Mr. Trump will sign and repeal immediately that he takes office. That could affect the market.
Absolutely.
And, of course, Mr. Mnuchin, he could also at Treasury. Now, his confirmation hearing begin at 10 o'clock Eastern Time today. He could move the market. He's going to be, when we know what he's going to say in his opening statement, he's going to say the following. He's pushing a pro-growth tax plan. He wants to slash the out-of-control government bureaucracy. He wants a trade policy that puts America first. And he wants to unleash American energy. Now, we knew all of that, but he's going to repeat it at 10 o'clock this morning, and then the Democrats are going to have a go at it. And that could move the market. What do you say, Rich?
Mnuchin's always been my dark horse for a cabinet nominee that might have more trouble than people expect, because the Democrats are going to try to make the mortgage stuff into a massive scandal.
Yes.
And at the very least, it's difficult to understand. And when you're in any position and you're explaining, you're kind of losing, and he's going to have a lot to explain.
My problem with that is it's just looking for dirt as opposed to criticizing the policy that he's going to bring in.
Exactly. And he is such a policy question mark. The important part of this hearing are the questions around where does he stand on the big issues, tax, trade, so forth. We want to see those answers. Markets are going to look at those answers and respond to that.
Right. Look at the financial stocks on your screen just moments ago. They've come down recently, and that's because reform of Dodd-Frank, which is in itself financial reform, that will probably be delayed way out until the fall of this year. The bankers were hoping for reform quickly.
Everyone wants to be at the head of the queue, the head of the line.
So, bearing that in mind, Scott Martin, come back in again, please. You're not putting your money into financials at the moment, are you, if Dodd-Frank reform is delayed?
I actually am, my friend, because I think this is an opportunity to buy the banks. Why? It's the interest rate curve. The interest rate curve is starting to be very favorable for banks. Banks have been in the doldrums for years because interest rates were so low. Rates are up since the election. The trajectory is up for interest rates, and therefore I like the banks, especially on some of the pullbacks we've seen this week.
What I'm looking at on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen is Netflix, very much stock of the day. This is one of those big-name technology companies which has come so far, so fast, along with the Amazons of this world, the Googles of this world, the Microsofts. They've all done so terribly well in the last 18 months, and now Netflix soaring 6% at $141 per share. We're going to get some more money pouring back in. You're not a market watcher, I know, but I'm asking you the question. I want to know, are we going to see more money coming back into Amazon with their success in online?
Well, I think Scott's point was great about Netflix jumping out and then pulling back. The problem here is we get excited about the earnings, but then we remember they're out there competing against the Amazons and Hulus of the world, doing the same things, doing it well. And so this is very much a competitive battle. I think that's why the upside for Netflix is limited a little bit.
But there's a broader issue. We were just a tick away from hitting Dow 20,000, and now we pulled back. I mean, we're in a really tight trading range right now. Will we have that conversation again? When will we surpass Dow 20,000, and what will push it above that level? Earnings.
Well, look at this. CSX, that is a railroad operator. Leading the way. It's up big today. Nicole, you better tell me what's going on with CSX.
CSX, a new high for CSX. You can see it's soaring roughly 17% right now. It is taking up the transportation index. While the Dow is up not even 0.1%, the transportation index and the railroads are leading the way. That index is up over 1%. There is news now that Hunter Harrison, who's a railroad veteran who had an early departure from Canadian Pacific, is joining with activist investor in order to attempt to shake up everything going on over at CSX. In fact, the activist investor, which is Halal Fund Mantle Ridge, they have over $1 billion reportedly now to invest in CSX and shake this one up. So with this news, you can see both stocks are higher, and these railroads are really taking it. It is up 16% right now.
How about that? When do you ever see a railroad guy? Well, you know,
old school.
Old school. I mean, that's almost as old as I am. I remember the day, ladies and gentlemen, when boxcar loadings were an indicator of the state of the economy. None of you people on that screen, none of you know what boxcar loadings are about. But I do. Okay, we're still waiting for Sean Spicer's press conference to begin. We're also waiting for Rick Perry's confirmation hearings as Energy Secretary to begin. Actually, they have begun. That's what you're looking at right now. He actually said that he wanted to abolish the energy department.
Yes, now he's going to repudiate that. He's saying, yes, you need the energy department. Why? It has a $30 billion budget, 2/3 of which is overseeing the nuclear stockpile. It is a fearsome arsenal that we've got. It also has people in there who oversee the Iran nuclear deal. Now, he will also put some daylight between himself and President-elect Trump by saying, yes, some of climate change is man-made.
Fascinating. I will bet a lot of money that the panel interviewing Mr. Perry will come up with this from the New York Times. Now, you can't read it very well, but that's a huge headline all across the screen there. It says, for third year, the Earth in 2016 set heat record. Threat to society and nature is rising. Scale of shift startles scientists.
Yes, and this will come as Rick Perry will say, yes, I am for building the Keystone Pipeline. Remember, thousands of miles of pipeline was constructed on under Obama's 2 terms.
Okay, I think we're going to hear about this global warming. Rich Lowry.
Yes, absolutely. They'll bang on about global warming. I think the cabinet nominees have collectively come up with a politically defensible and, in my mind, correct answer, which is that the planet is warming, but it's a complex phenomenon. There's some man-made element. We don't know how much, and we should only adopt policies that make sense on a cost-benefit analysis. And all this regulation that Obama has adopted would have almost zero effect on the global temperature 80 years from now. So it's symbolism.
Right. And the Paris Climate Accord.
China, India, what are they doing?
Well, China can do what it likes until the year 2030.
Exactly.
And then it is merely pledged to try to reduce its emissions.
Right. China and India, what they're basically saying is when our emissions begin to go down naturally, that's when we'll make sure our emissions are declining. It's completely worthless assurances.
But China was applauded as a wonderful globalist, the president at the at Davos, right?
Well, it chokes the globe.
Scott Martin, market watcher, do you have any opinion on climate change? I just thought I'd throw that out.
Here's the thing. I do know one thing. If you go over to China, it's really tough to breathe there. And I'll tell you what's interesting is that if you look at the energy stocks, Stuart, since the election, and as we've approached these hearings, they've started to behave a lot better. I mean, under President Obama, the energy stocks were under a lot of pressure. So if you're an investor looking at maybe a new sector for your portfolio, I'd look at energy going forward. Don't forget, Rick Perry, also, his home state is home to the Permian Basin, where 2 months ago, they found billions of barrels of oil hidden under the ground that the U.S. can live on for many, many, many decades.
So today, as we grill the potential energy secretary, I have to tell you that energy stocks are up 7% just since the election. So investors approve of Mr. Trump's energy policy, and those stocks are going up. Oil stocks at the moment are fractionally down. I want to draw your attention to this. We may have moved the market. I don't want to take credit for it, but we may have moved the market. Brenberg, this is your fault. As of now, Amazon is up $4. Facebook is up at 128. Microsoft, thank you very much indeed, is up 18 cents. And we have Apple, actually, is virtually dead flat. But the big name technology stocks, look at them. They're back in business. Facebook at 128, Amazon $811 per share. That's $40 away from the record high, but up recently.
Stuart, when do I get a chance to move the market? Can I do anything to move the market?
That camera.
So how do you do it? You got to tell
You imply that the biggest names in American technology have a way to go. They've come a long way already. Maybe they've got some more to go. Speak into that camera. All right.
Buy National Review stocks. That's my advice.
Well, that's right. You're a journalist. That's right. Now, Vice President Joe Biden, he was over at the big conflab in Davos.